Moved by Councillor Mealy, seconded by Councillor Solda. On the motion, all in favor? Carried, and thank you to our IT staff for sorting that out. Okay, we will move on to, we were on item F2B, so Councillor Dame, if you'd like to continue.
Yeah, for sure. So I move that zoning amendment for 2780 Bird Street, bylaw number 5085, be now introduced and read a first time.
Okay, moved by Councillor Dame, seconded by Councillor Solda. Seeing no comments on the motion, all in favor? Carried. None opposed. Continue.
I move that official community plan amendment 2780 Bird Street, bylaw number 5084, be now read a second time.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Dame, seconded by Councillor Solda. Seeing no comments on the motion, all in favor? Carried. None opposed.
I move that zoning amendment for 2780 Bird Street, bylaw number 5085, be now read a second time.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Dame, seconded by Councillor Solda. Not seeing any comments on the motion, all in favor? Carried. None opposed.
And I move that the that the amending bylaws be advanced to a public hearing on November 13th, 2023 at 6 o'clock in City Hall Council Chambers.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Dame, seconded by Councillor Mealy. Just a note that I am out of town that day, so whoever is acting mayor in November, Councillor Mealy, will be hosting that public hearing, hosting the community in the evening. Thank you, Councillor Mealy. On the motion, all in favor? Carried, none opposed. Thank you. And continuing on with OCP and zoning bylaw amendments, we have 3690 Lowen Road and 2791 Bird Street.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And I do apologize in advance. This is a fairly similar presentation to the one prior, so please do bear with me. And so I'll just, there we go. Perfect. Thank you very much. So the proposed amendments at 3690 Lowen Road and a portion of 2791 Bird Street would change the property's land use designations from future residential to residential in the OCP and change the zoning from RR1 rural residential to RR2 semi-rural residential. And this would enable a lot line adjustment and land consolidation. The subject properties are also located in the Arrowsmith Heights area at the eastern end of Bird Street and are surrounded by a mix of large rural lots and historically created smaller residential lots occupied by single detached dwellings. As you can see in this picture, 3690 Lowen Road is a small vacant lot located at the northern tip of Lowen Road, while 2791 Bird Street is a large portion of land occupied by one single detached dwelling. The owners of 3690, my apologies, Lowen Road, wish to purchase a small portion of 2791 Bird Street to consolidate it with the rear of the property. And the intent of this is to provide a buffer for their home, which is actually located immediately to the north, just out of frame in this photo. The existing property at 3690 Lowen Road is significantly undersized for its current RR1 zoning. And so despite taking on land, it would still not meet the zone's minimum lot size requirements. And as a result, both portions of land to be consolidated must be rezoned to ensure that the resulting lot is in conformance with the zoning bylaw. And this map illustrates the approximate dimensions of both properties before and after the lot line adjustment. The total area with proposed OCP and zoning bylaw amendments is the area shaded orange in the after photo. This site plan is provided by the applicant, shows the approximate dimensions of 3690 Lowen Road should the application proceed and lot line adjustment occur. No development is currently proposed for either property. So the proposed residential land use designation aligns with the surrounding low density neighborhood and with the intent of future residential properties as defined in the OCP. As we know, OCP policy requires that a neighborhood plan be provided as a condition of development when redesignating future residential land. However, staff recommend that a neighborhood plan not be required for this application, as the proposed amendments align with the intent of future residential land. No development is currently proposed, and the amendment does not alter the existing ability to construct a single detached dwelling on the property. And once again, staff do not consider the RR2 zone to be an urban density that would trigger the requirement to construct a sewer main. And just for context, this property is actually located immediately across from 2780 Bird Street, just in regard to where that sewer trunk has been built to. There we go. The proposed RR2 semi-rural residential zoning also aligns with the existing low-density residential neighborhood, and the proposed lot dimensions for 3690 Lowen Road meet the requirements of the RR2 zone. Amendments do not enable any additional uses to those already permitted under existing zoning. As I mentioned, no development is currently proposed. However, the property owners would be responsible for all necessary infrastructure improvements if development is to occur in the future. Staff do recommend that a restrictive covenant be placed on title at 3690 Lowen Road as a condition of development, requiring that the property be connected to the municipal sanitary sewer system upon extension of the trunk to this neighborhood in the future. This application was also brought to the Development Review Committee and sent to external agencies for comment. The application was referred to the Advisory Planning Commission at their meeting on July 20th, and the APC passed a motion recommending that council support the application. Staff provided additional opportunity for community input and mailed OCP pre-engagement notification to all owners and occupants of properties within 100 meters. A total of 18 letters were mailed and 1 response in support of the application was received. If this application advances to a public hearing, additional notification will be sent. And staff recommend today that council give first and second readings for OCP bylaw amendment number 5092 and zoning bylaw amendment number 5093, and that council advance the bylaws to a public hearing on Monday, November 13th. And again, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much for the report. Are there questions from council? Councillor Douglas.
Just to follow up on the sewer once again, the language you have there about requiring connecting to a sewer when it arrives, is there any specific distance that has to be within, or is there any specific language as far as has to be at the lot line or within, you know, half a mile, half a kilometer?
Through the mayor. To the best of my knowledge, that would be assessed by the engineering department, but it looks like Scott does have some further information for you, as he always does.
So the covenant language would essentially, if a sanitary sewer is along the frontage of the property, it would be required to connect to that sanitary sewer at the time that that is being done.
And the reason I keep bringing it up is because we've always been aiming to get sewer hooked up there, but we continually have people developing properties. I gather we're just not quite there yet as far as numbers of population to warrant the sewer being hooked up.
In this section of Upper Bird Street, the city hasn't really had a major consideration on how and what would be the options to bring sanitary sewer out there. Prior to that, i.e. I referenced the Uplands development, they were large enough and substantial enough of a development that the developer paid and was required to take sanitary sewer because they were building to an urban density. So the applications that we've looked at up here have been to a semi-rural or rural density, not triggering it. And we will look at this area in the Fisher Community Plan and potentially, and then provide some policy guidance on how this area might develop and when and how sanitary sewer might be required in this area.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, Councillor Haggard, would you like to read these motions?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to move that official community plan amendment 3690 Lowen Road and 2791 Bird Street by law 5092 be now introduced and read a first time.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Haggard, seconded by Councillor Douglas. Seeing no comments on the motion, all in favor? Carried, none opposed.
I'd like to move that zoning map amendment 3690 Lowen Road and 2791 Bird Street by law number 5093 be now introduced and read a first time.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Haggard, seconded by Councillor Douglas. Seeing no comments on the motion, all in favor? Carried, thank you.
I'd like to move that official community plan amendment 3690 Lowen Road and 2791 Bird Street, bylaw number 5092, be read a second time.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Haggard, seconded by Councillor Douglas. Seeing no comments on the motion, all in favor? Carried, none opposed.
I'd like to move that zoning map amendment 3690 Lowen Road and 2791 Bird Street, bylaw number 5093, be read a second time.
Moved by Councillor Haggard, seconded by Councillor Douglas. Seeing no comments on the motion, all in favor? Carried, none opposed.
I'd like to move that amending bylaws be advanced to a public hearing on Monday, November 13, 2023, at 6 p.m. in City Hall Council Chambers.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Haggard, seconded by Councillor Douglas. Seeing no comments on the motion, all in favor? Carried, none opposed. Thank you. And on to correspondence for action. We have one letter, which is a letter dated October 16, 2023 from the Alberni Valley Makerspace requesting council provide a letter of support for their grant application to the Rural Economic Diversification and Infrastructure Program Forest Impact Transition Stream. Councillor Dame.
I would love to make that motion. I move that council directs staff to prepare a letter of support for Alberni Valley Makerspace to accompany an application to the Rural Economic Diversification and Infrastructure Program Forest Impact Transition Stream in advance of the October 30th deadline.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Dame, seconded by Councillor Solda. Any questions on this? Okay. And seeing none on the motion, all in favor? Carried, none opposed. We'll continue on, and we have no proclamations today, so we'll go to correspondence for information, and I'll go to our corporate officer to summarize.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First, we have a letter from the Royal Canadian Legion Alberni Valley Branch 293, an invitation to Mayor and Council to attend the Remembrance Day service on November 11th. We have a letter from the Ministry of Education and Childcare, which is a follow-up letter regarding the 2023 UBCM convention meeting. And then from Fortis BC, looking for support for emissions reduction and access to low carbon energy. As well, a letter from the Ministry of Emergency Management and Climate Readiness, Emergency Management Regulations Workshop and Engagement Opportunities. And then finally, we have the minutes of September 6th from the Alberni Valley Museum and Heritage Commission.
Thank you. Any items of correspondence councillors would like to speak to? Okay, seeing none, would somebody like to move receipt?
So moved, Madam Mayor.
Moved by Councillor Mealy, seconded by Councillor Dame. Seeing no comments on the motion, all in favor? Carried. And report from in camera. I will just go to our corporate officer to summarize the 3 items we're releasing from in camera.
Certainly, through the mayor. First of all, we have the Accessibility Committee. The City of Port Alberni is partnering with the ACRD to formulate an accessibility committee and create an accessibility plan. An agreement which was brought in camera. Now we're able to release those motions from camera and start the work. We also have appointed, council has appointed 2 people to the Alberni Valley Community Forest Board. So Ron Corbeil and Aaron Badesso. Happy to welcome them to the Board of Directors. And then we have the departmental reorganization, which came out of camera. So summary of that is that the Parks, Recreation and Heritage Department is now called the Parks, Recreation and Culture Department. And with that includes an authorization to amend the 5-year financial plan.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to council reports. Any items from reports or activities that councillors would like to highlight? Okay, seeing none. New business, item L1. We have our UBCM meetings recommendations from the October 16th Committee of the Whole, where we provided an overview and update of the meetings we had at UBCM this year. And there was a recommendation to provide follow-up letters. Would somebody like to just approve that recommendation from our Committee of the Whole? Councillor Patola.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to move that council direct staff to prepare letters and follow up to meetings held during the Union of BC Municipalities Convention held September 11 to 15, 2023 with the various ministries and agencies as follows. And there is a list that follows included in the agenda.
Thank you very much. Moved by Councillor Patola, seconded by Councillor Solda. Not seeing any further comments on the motion. All in favor? Carried, none opposed. And we'll move on to item L2, which is a letter received from Sechot First Nations. And I think I'll ask our CAO just to highlight this, to speak to the item first.
Sure. Thank you. And through the chair, the Sechot Nation did a public statement out to the public and provided it asking for the city and the regional district to support what they have contained in the letter. What they have contained in the letter is some comments on a group that is out in our community, but across Canada. It's called Action for Canada. And they've made some statements in there on their feelings towards this group and are asking for support from the city and the ACRD.
Thank you. And I'll go to Councillor Dane.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I just wanted to just sort of highlight this letter and my support for it. I feel that anytime that First Nation calls upon us for to stand with them, I think that we need to hear that. And so they've made a statement here that they strongly condemn any actions that promote ideologies rooted in hate and racism, as well as any organization that holds space to bring forward such divisive and harmful platforms. And that's very much something that I am in support of. And I hope that the rest of council is as well. And so I would just like to, I feel it's important to state that I recognize and respect the rights of individuals and groups to freedom of expression, and we have to keep that in focus. But that we have to balance that against ensuring the safety and well-being of all residents, and also with acknowledging historical truths and harms that are continuing to affect people's lives today. And so I would like to make a motion to respond to this letter, receive this letter, and respond to it with our support. And I would also like to ask staff to come back with some options for us in how we might be able to keep our public spaces, our facilities free and of hate and inclusive of all groups. I think that's the gist of what I was trying to say with that. So I'm totally open to any friendly amendments if anybody has any comments on that.
Thank you very much, Councillor Dane. Moved by Councillor Dane, seconded by Councillor Mealy. Further comments? Councillor Haggard.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We're a council that we don't always agree on everything, but some things we do agree on, and I'm very proud of this fact, is that we're a council that promotes acceptance and inclusiveness. We also support reconciliation, and we work very closely with both the Sechot and Hoopacheset First Nations, but also all the First Nations that reside in the Alberni Valley. And we've been very progressive in that reconciliation movement, and I'm very proud of that. This is the best relationship we've ever had with the First Nations that live in our community. We also have a lot of empathy and compassion for all of our marginalized citizens, but also for all groups that live in our community. One thing I don't support, though, is any group that goes against my values. So whatever that group might be, I'm sorry I can't support you. Thank you.
Thank you. Other comments? Councillor Solda.
Just a quick one, Madam Mayor. I just want to say clico to Sechot for bringing this forward, because what are we going to teach our grandchildren? And this is right. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Patola.
I'd just like to commend Councillor Haggard on her comments. I think they were very well said.
Absolutely. Thank you. Okay. Seeing no additional comments, then on the motion, all in favor? Carried, none opposed. Thank you. And item, oh, sorry.
No problem. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Before we move on, I guess just for discussion, but it's going to take staff some time to come back with some options for us. And this event that is about to take place, this doesn't directly address that. And I'm just wondering if perhaps we should be looking at making sure that this event doesn't take place in a city facility. And if that's something that we can do immediately and make that happen, just to be sure that until we are able to put something concrete in place.
Thank you. So I'll go to our CAO just to provide a path forward on if council wanted to take that step, what we would need to do.
Thank you. And through the chair, I have been researching from some controversy in the community from past events. We've been researching some policies. Most policies that are adopted by municipalities is when somebody is going against the core values of a city and have made public statements that either on social media or therefore you can make a resolution to ban a group from being able to book spaces at a city facility. So if council wishes, you could make a resolution today banning, I forgot the name already here, sorry. Yeah, you can ban the group from being able to book our facility, and then administration would make sure that we follow that.
Thank you. Councillor Dame.
Thank you. Through the chair, rather than an outright ban at this time until we have more options and more information, would it be possible to just say, to just deny this one specific event were it to be requested to take place in a city facility?
Through the chair, of course you can. You could direct us not to support this this group in this activity, and we can do that.
Councillor Dame.
Thank you. Sure, I'll make a motion to that effect, that this specific event not be allowed to happen in a city facility.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Dame, seconded by Councillor Mealy. Comments? Okay, seeing none. Oh, sorry. Councillor Padola.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. At this point, I'm not in a position to support the motion. I certainly am in support of the letter sent to us by our friends at the Seychet First Nation. But not having personal knowledge of this group or the claims against this group, I'm not able to vote against the group. Starting from the position of being all-inclusive, certainly if I had personal knowledge or had facts before me that would suggest that any individual or group was contravening the clear values and goals of the city, and which seem to be very much in tune with my own personal goals and values, I would definitely be against it. I am on the same basis that I would vote to ban a group of that sort, is the same reason why I would not vote at this point, because this group, what I have read from them, I've read a number of claims that are unsubstantiated, and I've seen nothing in their materials that provides any credible basis to support the claims that are made. Although, and having said that, the material that is before us with regards to banning them also makes claims that I simply haven't seen any evidence to support. And I would treat all parties equally in that I would not judge them before having seen something reliable to suggest that the claims are true. Hearsay is simply not sufficient for me. Now, having said that, I am not suggesting that there isn't any truth to the claims being made. I'm simply saying that I am not aware of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Other comments? Councillor Dame.
Yeah, and thank you through the chair. I can totally respect that. Of course, we can't be, making a stand against things when we don't have all the information. Just to give a bit of context on some of how I arrived at this point, one example, the speaker who will be the featured speaker at this event, her name is Tanya Gaw, and Sishat shared on their Facebook page something that she had tweeted, and it says, quote, "It's time to pull the plug and end the charade of the Truth and Reconciliation witch hunt. The graves are empty and Indigenous violence is their own doing." And I'm just going to stop there. That is the rhetoric that this speaker, this group, that they put forth, and that's why I decided to come forward, because clearly that's not something that I feel we can support.
Thank you very much. Any other comments? Sorry, Councillor Haggard.
Thank you. Well, I certainly do. I want to go on stand right now. I do not support this group. I do not support what they stand for. I was invited to join a Facebook group a few days ago about this group, and there was a lot of events going on over the last few days. And what I read on this group was that there might be 4 to 6 supporters of this group, and there might be dozens of people not supporting that group. So I really think this group is in the very minority, but I'm very hesitant to ban anyone from renting our facilities for the same reason that Councillor Patola said, that if we're banning one group, what's to stop us from banning another group? Or what's to stop, the next council from banning a group that we might support? So I'm just really concerned about that. Unless they actually come and then promote acts of racism and hate, then we can ban them from then on. But until they actually do something in our community, I'm just really hesitant of what it might lead to the next time. That's kind of how things start. You start banning one group, then you ban another group. Then before you know it, you're banning groups that we now support. So that just really concerns me. Thank you.
Councillor Dame, and then, Councillor Douglas, and then Councillor Patola.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, and just to follow up on what Councillor Haggard said and Councillor Patola, and we had a brief discussion earlier, Councillor Dame and I. The first motion is a no-brainer for me, The second one is just because then we're getting to specifics of specific groups, whereas really, and I understand where you're coming from because it's something that might be happening in the next week, but what we really need to do is craft a message similar to what Mr. Watts from CSHOT, embracing our ideals of diversity and openness and all those principles that have to be followed. And that's what ideally I see we need to frame for ourselves, and then that's embedded in the policies of the city government. So like was said elsewhere, I sort of hesitate to, we use the word ban this specific group because there's going to be other groups popping up or maybe they'll just change their name, to another name in the next few days. So I kind of feel that. Those are my concerns over this. But I think it's a really good discussion. I really want to thank Councillor Dame for bringing it to the table. Thank you.
Thank you. I have Councillor Patola, Councillor Solda, and then Councillor Dame.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And looking towards the future and any suggestions that might be brought forward by staff with regards to appropriate policy, I just want to reflect on my experience in the world under a different guise, and that is simply saving for retirement. And in saving for retirement, many people invest in the stock market or invest with investment funds. And of late, the popularity of ethical funds has grown substantially. And ethical funds don't go forward and say we are banning an individual from doing anything or a company from doing anything, but they simply vote with their dollars and say we choose not to profit from your activities. And I certainly would be in support of a motion that would say we as a city choose not to rent and therefore get money from and profit from any organizations which maybe contrary to our goals, or just we have a suspicion that they're contrary to the goals. So it removes any value judgment on that organization or any factual judgment as to what they do. We're simply just saying that as a city, we want to continue our ethical investment of our taxpayer dollars.
Thank you for that. Good comments. Councillor Solda.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We struggle with this because it's against our values, and I agree with Councillor Patola. We haven't heard the other side. I struggle with it because of kids and stuff like that. I don't, racism in the world and stuff. And by saying, denying residential school didn't happen, try that. It bothers me a lot. You mean, and there's people out in the world that say the Holocaust never happened and other things, like, give me a break. And I struggle with it. And I have a hard time. When I first got this letter from T-Shot, it was like really upsetting to see that and in today's world. And I also believe in freedom of speech. So where do we stop? You know, and I know I call it the Trump world, and where you're gagged ordered. And yeah, I just wanted to say that, Madam Mayor. I struggle, and it's not too good.
Thank you. Councillor Dame.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no, I appreciate everybody's thoughts on this, and I realize that it is it's difficult and it's complicated, and I do support freedom of expression, but I had to bring this forward on my personal convictions and on the call for action from the Sishot First Nation, and so that's why I'm going to maintain the motion, and I understand. Yeah, I understand all of your
Thank
thoughts.
you. And I'll go to, I think I have Councillor Patola, then Councillor Solda, then I'll speak, Councillor Mealy, and then I'll speak last.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So it's public knowledge that individuals have attended at city council meetings and issued formal invitations to city council to attend this meeting. My understanding at that time is this topic of discussion was going to be 15-minute cities and the Global World Economic Forum agenda. No mention of every child matters, and every child does matter. And so I would be abhorred and immediately disassociate myself from any person that would be making those statements. I would never deny the pain and tragedies that our local and our not our local First Nations have gone through. 15-minute cities, I don't know what they have to say about that. And an individual, if that quote that my friend Councillor Dame read is true, that is absolutely unforgivable. I'm wondering what they would say about something else. And I know that our leaders are often caught in places where they say something inappropriate and are forced to retract and apologize for that. So I do want to say that statement is not one that I would accept. Having said that, perhaps this person is saying something other that is not offensive. I don't know.
Thank you, Councillor Solda, and then Councillor Mealy.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So yes, it is a balancing act, obviously, and I said this before. I'm named after a man who died the First World War. I don't have to agree with what you have to say, but I respect the fact that you can say it. In saying that, if we have a letter here, and if you go onto the Sechot First Nation website where Councillor Dame did read that tweet, there's a line to be drawn at that point for our friends, our neighbors in Sechot and Hupuchesa. So maybe what I could offer is a friendly amendment to the motion to reevaluate the ban on this group with the staff report that's coming forward.
Thanks. I think for clarity, the motion was only to ban this event, specific event, and so not for a future event by this group, because that would be determined by staff report coming forward. And correct me if I'm wrong, Councillor Dame.
Yeah, thank you. That is correct. I deliberately avoided the phrasing ban because I specified that I wanted to wait until we received those reports before making that firm of an action. But yeah, this was pertinent to this one specific event, and it was pertinent to the specific request by Shot First Nation, who state in their letter that that this group is not welcome on their territory, which we acknowledge at the beginning of every meeting.
Thank you. And I'll just take the last comment here because I think we've gone around. I think this is not an ideal process because we don't have a policy in place. So thank you for your first motion, which does acknowledge that we need to have a policy in place so that these situations don't come to us in one-off events or not come to us at all and then have us think after the fact. I wish we would have done something about that prior. So, you know, given that we are going to be looking at this in the future, I think, unfortunately, we have to deal with this specific event today and determine if we, as the only people who have the authority to either allow or not allow it in a city facility, we have to be able to take that step today, since it is in front of us. And while I recognize all of the comments that have been made, and I think we all here value free speech and understand that there's a lot more to likely this group than just these comments, I think for me, I will be in strong support of the motion because I would not let someone get up in a council meeting and say the graves are empty and indigenous violence is their own doing. And if I wouldn't let somebody say it in council chambers, then I can't approve somebody saying it or permit somebody to say it in a city facility. So thanks, Councillor Dame, for bringing this forward. And however council decides to proceed, we'll certainly support, but that's where I will be making my decision from. And with that, I will... Sure, one final comment from Councillor Hager.
Sorry. This sounds crazy, but could we just say for the next week our facilities aren't available for rent if somebody calls and asks until we get a policy formulated? I just really hate banning somebody or something when we don't have a policy in place in order to even do that.
I think that that's what this motion would be doing, is to say that our facilities are not available for this event at this time until a formal policy comes forward. Without this motion passing, I don't think staff currently has the authority to say that our facilities wouldn't be available for rent. Yeah, so I think this very much, I recognize the challenge that some of council is having. It's a challenging issue for sure. And I think this is just us trying to deal with it as best possible for the time being until we can put more thought and foresight into a proper structure and policy for moving forward. Okay, so with that, on the motion, all in favor? Carried, none opposed. Thank you. Okay, and we'll move on to item L3, which is an update on the garbage trucks and where we are currently at with that. So I'll go to our, I'm not sure if we need any prompting of that or if just our CIO can speak to the issue.
Thank you, and through the chair, we do from operations send apologies for the breakdown in our equipment. However, it did happen. I'm happy to say that they are all back up and running, and garbage is continuing, and we are catching up. There is a great video that the Scoop did, and I believe it's on their website, that explains the whole situation and is quite well done from our operations staff. I think that explains more than I could today, so I would invite anybody to look at that. But again, we did have 2 garbage trucks break down, one earlier in the week last week and one later in the week, that ended up causing us very substantial delay in picking up the recyclables, and so we have to catch up now, but we are doing what we can do.
Thank you. Councillor Solda.
Just a quick question. The cost of the trucks that we have, do we have a figure? I did mention that I was going to ask that question, and also the purchase of the new truck, when is it coming? And also, I'm sorry, I kind of wrote it down. The split truck, is it better for us because the arm's being used all the time, constantly, and I believe our financial can answer some of these questions because I asked him. So,
thank you, Councillor Solda. Andrew.
Madam Mayor, through to Councillor Solda. So we have a truck on order that was approved in the 2023 financial plan. What we've done is we've moved to a kind of a staggered approach with our units, and we'll have one in spare moving forward, or two, depending on how we evaluate what we need for the service. But currently, we do not have a spare. So we're using all 3 trucks every single day. So there is a little bit more wear and tear because you are flipping back and forth between the 2 bays because we do dual streams with those trucks. So there is more wear and tear. There's more lifting. So we're doubling the lifting, but it's still the most cost-effective manner in which you collect solid waste when you have multi-streams because the cost that's driven as far as the service is visiting the house each time. Because if you'd have 2 different trucks, it would be a more costly service. So that is best practice, is to have that split bay, and the city moved to that. I think in 2018 we moved to those type of trucks because we knew this was on the horizon. With that, the truck is 5 years old. The lifetime that we anticipate these trucks lasting is 6 years. So obviously with the wear and tear and not having an extra that we could have the maintenance on, and it was well explained as the CAO stated in the video that the Scoop did, if something goes wrong, and now we had 2 trucks out of service this week, it does cause that significant delay. So moving forward, when we have that extra truck, we'll have that spare in play that allow us to mitigate any delays with that spare, which we had under the previous system. So obviously changes to the system, changes to how we collect has caused impacts, but we're rectifying that with that new truck that's on its way. And as everything, we've seen delays in receiving the equipment. So I think at this time, I don't know when the truck is coming exactly, but I know we ordered it as soon as we could when we had the budget approved in the spring of 2023.
Just to follow up, Madam Mayor, there is no warranty on these trucks when we get them, is there? Like, a lot of people think, well, 5-6 years, you get a vehicle and it's 8-year warranty. It was just approached to me, and I know the answer already, but people need to hear that because I always ask when we purchase a vehicle, is there a warranty? So I'm asking that question on the trucks.
Madam Mayor, so there is warranty on the trucks, but after 5 years, that warranty is not in effect. There's certain provisions that have longer warranties, but obviously these trucks are at the end of their life as far as the use that they have, because they run all day, every day, and there's a lot of wear and tear on these vehicles.
Thank you very much.
Councillor Mealy.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a statement and maybe a suggestion. So the statement would be thank you to our City Works guys in the video too. Scotty down there working hard to getting that back up and running. So big thanks to our City Works people. Maybe just in the future, if this happens again, the recycling side isn't as bad. You can go down to the depot. Not everybody can do that. I understand that. However, I'm not sure, and it's not a motion or anything like that. Maybe just a suggestion though that say if Zone 2 on Wednesday missed their garbage pickup, to allow that resident to go with their ID to the dump, say, hey, this is me, and get 2 free bags to be dropped off, and just allow the citizens the opportunity to drop off the garbage. Again, not a motion, but it's just more along the lines of a suggestion if it's possible.
Thank you for that. CAO.
Yeah, thank you, and thanks for the comments, Councillor Mealy. I'll talk to the ACRD as it is the service they provide, and I'll make that suggestion.
Thank you. Okay, seeing no other comments or questions, we will move on to question period. This is an opportunity for members of the public to ask questions of council on decisions or recommendations made during the course of this meeting. A maximum of 3 questions per speaker will be permitted. Would anybody like to come forward today?
I would.
Sure. If you don't mind just starting by introducing yourself, please. If you could just introduce yourself and turn the microphone on.
2017, and I handed out some photocopies to this gentleman, and I heard something about World Economic Forum. I want you to listen to this. This is a city council meeting.
PM Mulrooney signed Canada onto UN Agenda 21. Canada thus became a UN member nation state. 178 countries signed on, lured by the promise of big money to go green. By 2000, countries, including Canada, were being governed by directions of the UN, G7, G20, World Economic Forum, and World Health Organization, to name some. Every organization named is a foreign-based NGO, non-governmental organization, and every member of all these organizations is unelected. Parliamentary procedures for law changes weren't followed. In 1994, a municipal primer was issued to all local towns outlining how they were to restructure their governments. Though the municipal primer was a non-binding agreement, all towns adopted it. Our public officials,
Earl, I have
the
to
mayor
just
and
pause you
councillors of
for a
that day, were
moment
partnered
because
with
this
the
is
private
question
corporation,
period.
corporation of the
Do you have
town
a
of
question
Aurora,
to ask
who
today?
appointed a chief
Just a second.
administrative
I gotta
officer who
stop
helped
it.
implement the global agenda instead of a local one.
Pardon me?
National Council on Local.
Pardon me?
Sorry, just this is question period, so just asking if you do have a question today.
Okay. Are you controlled by the World Economic Forum and United Nations?
No.
Well, they just stated that everyone signed on to it, right? Corruption starts at the municipal level and it gets bigger as it goes. You got rid of one person out of your councillors, and that was Helen Poon for her corruption. All right, never mind. You know who I'm talking about. But when it comes to councillors benefiting from taxpayers, is that right for you to benefit a business like your business? You have 4 streetlights around your business. You're turning around, starting to want to revitalize from 3rd down to the Key. That's to benefit your business, right? When is the elections coming up?
Comment from Councillor Mealy.
When is the election coming up?
Councillor Mealy.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I can comment on the Argyle Street construction, as I have no skin in the game on that.
Yeah.
And I've been a councillor in the past for 9 years, so I understand how the procedure works. The city will do the infrastructure underneath and then do the road on top. So it's not a fact of we're doing the road. We, when I say we, council, is doing the road for the benefit of one person or anything like that. That infrastructure needs to get done. And so the pipes underneath are all going to get done first. And if you were here for that meeting, you understand that
Yeah, I was.
I may have, just 1 second, sir. You may understand that I may not even have been in agreement of the final plan.
Okay.
But I do understand that it's not for one specific business. The pipes that we're talking about, water and sewer, need to get done properly, and then we restructure the road on top of that, because rather than dig it twice, right? So as much as I can understand your question, sir, I will say, as someone who doesn't have any business dealings with the mayor or no skin in the game, I can say that we're doing that road because it needs to get done underneath, and then we'll do the road.
Well,
Thank
it's
you.
not fair
I just have a
there
question,
for the...
comment as well from Councillor
right.
Solda.
Just a quick comment. I should inform you, you were at the meeting. I ran the meeting because the mayor excused herself. So
I realized that. I was sitting here.
yeah, and so she had no idea how we were going to vote or what we were going to say.
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure you realize that. So,
Well, it should be fair for all, not to benefit council members, right? That's all I got to say. Are you guys not, you guys aren't controlled by the World Economic Forum and the United Nations?
I see my comments.
Huh?
No, sir. I see my comments.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you. Are there questions from other members of the public? Okay, seeing none, would somebody like to move adjournment? Moved by Councillor Mealy, seconded by Councillor Douglas. On the motion, all in favor. Carried. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.